Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's community chat. We are so excited to be following up this. This is a follow-up chat to a previous chat we did with the Mayor of Stanton, American Family Housing and Jamboree Housing about Homekey and the two Homekey sites that are both in the city of Stanton. My name is Ad McClellan, and I'm filling in for our Executive Director, Bex Hayho, who usually moderates this chat. If you missed the previous chat we did, you can find it on our Facebook and our YouTube, and you can also subscribe to make sure that you are up to date with all the new chats that we will be doing in the coming months. And for today's topic, we'll be diving even deeper into Homekey, which, as a quick reminder, is a California state program that came out as building off of Project Roomkey and other state efforts to help address homelessness during the COVID-19 pandemic. Homekey helps communities address homelessness through helping them convert hotels and motels into long-term housing solutions like permanent supportive housing. So today we'll be talking about what's to come for Homekey and how you can get involved in your community and get your local elected leaders involved as well. As our guests for today, we are joined by Supervisor Katrina Foley, the Supervisor of the 2nd District for the Orange County Board of Supervisors, Lindsey Slama, the Senior Homelessness Policy Specialist with the California Department of Housing and Community Development, and Tim Shaw, the Chair of the Orange County Continuum of Care Board. So thank you all so much for joining us. And to start us off, I will just ask if you could all briefly introduce yourself. I'll start with Supervisor Foley, if you could just give us a brief introduction of yourself for our audience.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting this very important chat. I'm Katrina Foley, your Orange County Supervisor for District 2. District 2 includes the cities of all the coastal cities up to Newport Beach, so Seal Beach, Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, Costa Mesa. We also represent Cypress, La Palma, Los Alamitos, Stanton, and a portion of Buena Park, a portion of Fountain Valley, as well as the unincorporated area of Rossmore. I'm a 25-year lawyer, business owner, mom of 2 college sons. My husband's a teacher, and I'm a 3-time mayor, city council member, Newport Mesa school board member, and now supervisor. So I really care deeply about these issues and helping us solve homelessness in Orange County.
Thank you so much, Supervisor. And we're so excited to have you on this event with us. Lindsey, I'll hand it over to you and ask if you could introduce yourself to people tuning in today.
Hi everyone, I'm Lindsey Slama. I work for the Department of Housing and Community Development. I'm a Senior Homelessness Policy Specialist, and I've been with the department for just over 2 years. I've also worked with the California Department of Social Services on the Home Safe Program and HDAP, the Homeless Disability Advocacy Program. And I'm really excited to be here and working on Homekey. So thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lindsey. Tim, I'll hand it over to you. Can you introduce all the work that you do and introduce yourself to our audience tuning in today?
Hey everybody, happy to be here. My name is Tim Shaw. I currently serve as the chair of the Orange County Continuum of Care Board, which oversees federal and state homeless dollars that come into Orange County, as well as has broad responsibilities over the homeless management information system, the coordinated entry system, and a lot of systems improvement stuff here in Orange County. I also serve as the lead consultant for United Way's United End Homelessness Housing Champions Advocacy Network. I've been a homeless and housing advocate for over 30 years here in Orange County. Used to run the Orange County Homeless Issues Task Force and care deeply about these issues. And I'm really excited about all the resources in the pipeline right now and how we can deploy them to end homelessness in Orange County. Happy to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you all for joining us and giving us your expertise on this topic. So Lindsey, I'm going to bounce back to you for this, our first official question. So our last chat, we talked about the previous Homekey funding that was used for the Stanton Homekey sites. Could you tell us about the new Homekey funding that will be available?
Yes, thank you. So the funding allocation is going to be pretty similar to the first round of Homekey. The way we did it was divide the state into 8 regions, and so Orange County specifically was part of the Southern California region. So it should be pretty similar, although things are in the process as we speak. So nothing super final, but also the biggest thing in terms of funding is just the massive amount of funding we have this round. I think it's like 4 times the total amount that we had last time. It was like 600 or 750 million. Now across the 2 fiscal years, this fiscal year 21-22 and 22-23, it's going to be $2.75 billion. Actually, maybe
I think they just announced that it's 3.5 billion.
Oh,
That's what our team just shared with us just this last week. 3.5 billion with a B.
got it. Okay, yeah, things are moving so quickly that I'm probably not quite up to speed with everything that's changing. But yeah, it's a massive amount of funding. People are calling this historic funding. Just not just with Homekey either, but the governor's initiatives for homelessness. In general, I think the budget was around 12 billion total across the state. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Lindsey. That's truly amazing to hear how many resources are available. We also had some more specific questions coming about Homekey, and we had some people ask, with these motels that are through the Homekey process, are these motels, are they sold or are they leased in Homekey, and what are these incentives for owners to sell? Could you speak on that for us?
My understanding is they are sold to the local jurisdiction. Last time the real incentive was because of COVID and the impact on the tourist industry. The hotels and motels really had a hard hit in the economy as a result of COVID. So that in and of itself was kind of an incentive, and we might be in a different place this time for hotels and motels, specifically because of vaccinations increasing and more tourism happening. But we are also open and expecting a diverse range of the type of properties that we're going to get in applications. And so we're really promoting innovation and creativity. So, and that's where the pre-application consultations come in, because then that's your opportunity to talk with us about your idea without having to go through a long process and get too far, right? So yeah.
Thank you. And you kind of touched on it a bit, but some people were asking if there are other properties that could be used as Homekey sites, like if houses, commercial buildings, apartment buildings, if those could be used. Could you speak to that as well?
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, so we're anticipating like commercial buildings, for example. Now, instead of the hotels, motels last year, with the increase in teleworking, there's a lot of office spaces that are I've heard are still under leases, and so companies aren't paying a lot of money to lease those. But there's talk about once those leases are up, that's going to be office space that's not needed, and so that could be a really good opportunity for a Homekey site.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Lindsey, for that insight and for answering those very specific questions. A big question that usually comes out of the discussions of new Homekey funding is what does that process to apply look like? So Supervisor Foley, I'll hand the mic over to you. Could you speak about what is the process to apply for Homekey funding? Who are these key players involved? And if you could speak also a bit, what is that role of the Board of Supervisors, Continuum of Care Board, and HCD?
Wonderful, thank you, happy to help. Well, you know, our office priority is to really focus on ending homelessness. And so we have engaged individuals to go out and survey the community for the most acute and chronic homeless. We also are working to analyze, you know, where do we have gaps in service? What can we do better? And another initiative coming out of District 2 is our Homekey, what I call Homekey in a Box initiative. And that is where we work in direct partnership with the cities. We recently brought in all the mayors in District 2, and this applies to all the whole county, but this is just something I've been focused on in my district. We brought in the mayors, city managers, different individuals that are focused on housing. I'm going to share my screen here. And we had a session with them to share with them what are some opportunities. So I'm going to back up one screen here, one slide. So just to give a recap, Stanton did amazing work. They were able to take advantage of round one. We saw Stanton converting many units and also helping our veterans. Then now here we are in round two. And this is a presentation we did with the mayors just this last week. We can convert motels, hotels, and other buildings to housing. One of the things I learned that you can even take the dollars and buy affordability. The county's preference is to acquire the property so that we can have permanent affordability restrictions. So how does the county help? The county, in partnership with the cities, can provide real estate, legal services. We can provide housing community development services. We will work, our county staff members will work with cities and developers to try to identify sites and prepare those sites for application for the entitlement with the city, work hand in hand with the city to offload some of the staffing requirements. Our Orange County Healthcare Agency is also available to identify the target population, administer coordinated entry system, and oversee interim housing, especially if there's a site conversion where people have to be moved. And then of course, our county council is also available for any legal advice for the cities as they go through this process, because let's face it, cities, they're not used to converting motels. They're not used to turning other structures and buildings into housing. And so we have experts right here at the county that we can provide these resources to our cities and help them take advantage of what's once in a lifetime opportunity to, I think, convert what are, you know, likely seedy motels into permanent supportive housing and help people get more stable and secure. What are the city's role? The city's roles are to make sure you get council support, review the project location, and entitle the property. County staff will help you to create all the paperwork and the conditions, etc. But the city council still has to entitle the property in terms of allowing it to be used for housing. Now that might require some change of zoning or other land restrictions might need to be addressed. One important note is that the county will not move forward on any project that the city council does not support, because we want to be a good partner with our cities. We don't want to just come in and do something they don't want to do. So the city will also be responsible for administering the project permitting, assisting with community outreach, helping us to secure matching funds, but the county is willing to put some funding up as well. And then we have the developer responsibilities. The developers are partnering like Jamboree Housing, and there's many others that partner with the county and the cities to come in and provide all those navigation services. United Way, I think, has been a great partner, but we rely on these community partners in this kind of a public-private partnership to make this happen. So these are just some of the things, the parameters. Like I said, we want to make sure that there's a partnership. We will not support any project that isn't supported by the city. And the next steps are for our cities to just send us a list of targets, and our county staff will get to work going out there, talking directly with the property owners, helping them to understand the program, the benefits to them of, getting this lump sum payment, and really taking advantage of this project and these funds. Does that answer your question, Addie?
Thank you, Supervisor Foley. Yeah, I think honestly, you did a really good deep dive, and I think you even answered some questions that I haven't even asked yet. So perfect. Thank you so much. I wanted to also ask Tim a question, and Supervisor Foley, I think you covered it, but I wanted Tim to get your perspective as well as what is the role of these, the Continuum of Care Board, and other entities. What is that role as a part of this process?
Yeah, so first of all, I want to thank Supervisor Foley for her leadership on this. I think it's incredible to have someone who is so passionate about it and really leading the charge. In the first round, we literally had one city step up, and we need way more than that this time. And so I'm so glad that the county is taking a proactive approach to gathering the cities, and I know there's a lot more interest in it. In terms of the Continuum of Care Board, so if people aren't really familiar with the COC board, the COC board is a local body that is mandated to exist by the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development. And so it oversees what are called Continuum of Care funds that come in pretty large chunks of money, millions of dollars every year, for a wide variety of services. So this includes everything from homeless street outreach to housing navigation, to emergency services, to emergency shelter, to transitional and bridge and interim housing, to permanent supportive housing, and homeless prevention activities. So we also oversee a good portion of the state funds that come in. All the acronyms, HAP, HEAP, CASH, we're not going to go down the rabbit hole of all those, but there's a lot of state funding that comes in, and a lot of that comes through the COC board. And a lot of that funding is discretionary to us. The federal dollars that we get through the Continuum of Care are not very discretionary, but most of the state dollars that come through, we have a lot of latitude on how to spend those. So one role of the COC board in this is to look where we can be helpful in augmenting services dollars, which are really important to this type of permanent supportive housing. We also can help in that interim step that Supervisor Foley was talking about, because that is an important component to some of these Homekey developments. And the other thing I would stress is that the Continuum of Care, the County of Orange is our co-applicant and administrative entity. The COC boards in every region are required to choose an administrative entity that really functions as the staff of the COC board. And our administrative entity is the County of Orange. So we're partnered, we're connected at the hip with the county. And the COC has responsibility for overseeing the coordinated entry system. And that is the means by which people find their way to occupancy in these developments. And so we have to ensure that that coordinated entry system is prioritizing the people who are in greatest need to the top of the list, and making sure that that process is simple, it's easy, that there's a streamlined process, that it's not creating barriers for people. So that's really the role of the COC board.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Tim and Supervisor Foley, for giving us a really good understanding of all the different players involved, who's doing what, in regards to not only Homekey but broader funding as well that's coming into the community. And with that being said, I know that there's probably a lot of folks on this call, or some folks on this call, who are wondering, who are thinking of applying for this new Homekey funding, or looking into it, or asking that question to themselves. And so, Lindsey, would you be able to tell us what are some common mistakes communities make when trying to apply or planning to apply for Homekey?
Yeah, so I think that, last round, the federal deadline was faster than lightning speed for our department. So like some of the mistakes and things that we encountered will probably be resolved with this next round, and given that we have a little bit more time. But some lessons learned were that some properties were occupied before doing the rehab, so some occupants had to be relocated, which increases the cost and things like that. So so that's one thing we're hoping to not have as much this round. And another thing is that some communities waited too long throughout the process to apply. Maybe they felt like they didn't have a really competitive application. Maybe they had the perception of community pushback, and so that sort of like inhibited them from, you know, applying early on. This time it's, you know, basically over the counter. It's not competitive. So if you have a decent project and you get your application in early, you know, there's a pretty good chance, you know, and you do the pre-application consultation, there's a pretty good chance, decent chance you'll be, you know, funded. So for the public, I would say, you know, reach out to your elected officials and let them know that you want a Homekey project in your community. You know, the biggest barrier is not applying at all. And again, some people thought that there was perceived opposition that maybe didn't exist, or they wouldn't meet the time frame. So something that made a successful applicant was being able to take on a challenge and be creative. So we're encouraging that, like I said, innovation, creativity, especially if we have a little bit more time now. Start identifying potential sites that could be Homekey properties. For the application, something was like a mistake that some communities would make was not meeting threshold requirements, and one of those things was the equity statement. So we're really trying to incorporate racial equity. It was the first time our department did anything like that, and so yeah, it was the first time that our department did anything like that and had on an application. So we we're trying to really provide extra guidance and things like that. So that's one thing, just for the application itself.
Thanks, Lindsay. I think that ties in really well to talking about what local community members can do, what residents can do. And Lindsay, you spoke to this, Supervisor Foley, you spoke to this, of the importance of cities getting involved. And so with that, this next question will be for Supervisor Foley and Tim. Can you tell us what local advocates can do to get their little city leadership active in finding potential Homekey sites and getting community support for this? And to start us off, I'm going to hand it over to you, Tim, and I'd also like to hear your thoughts on why these local advocacy efforts are important, if you can throw that in there as well.
Yeah, with these developments, well, let me say a general statement first. We simply cannot allow community opposition to impede our ability to maximize this resource here locally. We simply can't. And we have seen too many times, I may be old and wizened, but I've seen too many times in this community, incredible projects, had all the I's dotted, all the T's crossed, go down simply because some people, you know, some bigoted people showed up and didn't want it in their neighborhood. They felt like they have the right to choose their own neighbors. And so we cannot allow that to happen. And it's imperative that advocates start early in this process. I always say that if we're yelling with "not in my backyard" with the MB people, NIMBY people in public meetings, they've already won, right? That the advocacy effort needs to be far upstream. And I think both Supervisor Foley and Lindsay touched on this. Start now talking to your elected officials, your planning commissioners in your city. Let them know how important this is to you. I would also state right now we are in the housing element development process. Every city right now in Orange County has got to identify sites in their housing element. This is basically a strategic plan for housing for the next 8 years. And right now you have an opportunity to have input into that plan. You can tell your city council that those big regional housing needs allocation numbers that they're all complaining about and trying to sue over, that this is a tool they can use to help solve those without any new construction. These units can count toward that regional housing needs allocation number. So there's a lot of reasons to start getting going now before the opposition has time to gear up, because speed and efficiency is really key to getting these projects up and going. I would also I'll make a pitch for come to an Advocacy 101 training, and we'll teach you how to do this effectively. This isn't about yelling at people or shaming people or anything. It's about building relationships and getting to know and being a resource for your city council to cast the courageous votes needed to move these projects forward.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tim. And Supervisor Foley, I'll ask you the final question to wrap us up. Is there anything that you would like to add to what Tim said and talk about how local communities can really help their local leadership become active in the Homekey program?
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, I have maybe a slightly different perspective. I don't know if I've gotten cynical. So I think that we have a moment in time right now where there's a lot of support for this kind of conversion. We've seen especially in areas where we have a lot of degraded motels. And we've seen examples like in Stanton and in Santa Ana, where those motels were converted, they were beautified, they improved the quality of the neighborhood, and they provided desperately needed housing. And so I think we have a variety. We've done a really good job. United Way and the Commission to End Homelessness has done an amazing job of educating the community, of kind of changing the narrative, if you will. And so I feel like our community is embracing these kinds of programs. I know that in cities like Costa Mesa, Buena Park, Huntington Beach, and even in little pockets of Newport Beach, that there are motels that people have been wanting to get removed for many, many years because they are magnets for prostitution or crime or drug use. And this is our chance really to convert them in a way that brings quality housing, navigation services, help to people that need a hand up. And really, I think the community is going to embrace this. I know Newport Boulevard is a prime target, Harbor Boulevard, Beach Boulevard, in cities throughout District 2. And there's other communities throughout Orange County where this will benefit. So I am optimistic that the community will embrace this program and will embrace the opportunity to provide quality housing for people in need and help stabilize families.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor Foley. And we definitely have seen when people are provided the facts, when they understand what this can look in their community, we definitely have seen communities take that education and really gain a better understanding of how it can benefit their community and how we can see how effective permanent supportive housing can be in making sure people are housed for the long term, and we can see those reductions in homelessness. So thank you so much. And if for the folks who are tuning in today, I really hope that idea that we need to all participate into making sure that Homekey happens in Orange County and that Orange County gets our fair share. This has been a really informative chat for me, and I'm sure for many people tuning in. And we have developed a few tools to help residents get involved and to be those people on the ground, helping build that support in your community. So we have created a template letter that you can customize and then send out to your local leaders to show your support and tell them why you think your community should get involved in Homekey. It's a really easy step. You can download it by clicking the link in the chat box or the comment section, and you can, if you're registered on Eventbrite for this event, we'll email that letter out to you as well. And like Tim said, you can also attend our next Advocacy 101 class on September 1st at 6 p.m. You can find that link in the chat box and comment section as well. And with that, I just want to do one big thank you to all our speakers for joining us today and for sharing your insight with us. This was so incredibly helpful. Thank you to everyone who submitted questions, to our guests, to the people who tuned in. You can follow us on Facebook and YouTube to find out what next month's community chat will be. And for those who are joining us via Zoom, there will be an exit survey popping up. It should be right about now, where and the feedback that you give us on that survey will help us improve our chat moving forward. So thank you everyone for this wonderful event, and we will see you September. Thank you.